Since US President Donald J. Trump returned to the White House for a second term in January 2025, he has been surrounded by controversies, court cases, and a strong opposition. Every decision he takes is being questioned. When Trump's supporters cheer loudly, his critics attack even louder, and the country remains deeply divided. Outside America, too, things are not easy either. His tough stand on trades, wars, and global alliances are creating tensions. Some countries are even pushing back. After assuming office, Trump made bigger promises like cheaper living, tougher immigration controls, major peace deals, and America First trade policies. But a year later, today, many of these promises are running into real world pushback. While US people are still feeling the price pain, courts and US Congress are limiting his plans. Public opinion is shifting, and big global issues like wars and trade relations have not unfolded as simply as he suggested on his campaign trail. In this video, we will look at some of the major setbacks faced by Trump in the US and globally. Hi, hello, vanakkam, namaskar. Welcome to POV World from Bharat YouTube channel, World Through Bharat's Lens. During his campaign and at the start of his second term, Trump made bigger promises about the US economy. He had said that he would bring back strong economic growth and make the US economy boom more than ever. But in the last quarter of 2025, the US economy grew at only about 1.4%, which is lower than most predictions, and experts see it as a weakening trend rather than stronger expansion. The US dollar too has experienced significant sustained weakening in the early 2026, dropping to its lowest level since March 2022. Rather than viewing the declining dollar as a sign of weakness, Trump has actually embraced it as a competitive tool. According to his claims, a weaker dollar is great because it makes American-made goods cheaper for foreign buyers, thereby boosting domestic manufacturing. Trump has also been seen relentless in accusing Jerome Powell, the Fed chairman, of being too late and the worst chairman in the history. Trump argues that Fed's refusal to slash interest rates more aggressively is the primary cause for the slow growth and inflation in the US. The next setback is the US government shutdown. A US government shutdown happens when US Congress fails to pass a budget and federal agencies run out of money to operate, meaning the US government does not have any money to spend. During such shutdowns, large part of government simply stop functioning, not because of a crisis outside, but because of a political deadlock inside Washington. Though such US government shutdowns are not uncommon in America, the latest shutdown that occurred during October-November 2025 was the largest and the longest government shutdown in US history that lasted 43 days, that is more than a month. Meaning government workers were unpaid, public services like passport processing, bank loan approvals were delayed, and programs like food assistance and housing support faced funding worries, which in turn created stress among vulnerable families who depend on government support for their basic necessities. Number 3 on our list is Epstein Files controversy. Jeffrey Epstein was a wealthy financier who is accused of running a sex trafficking network involving underage girls. Epstein was arrested in 2019 and later died in jail under controversial circumstances. Over the years, court documents and unsealed records have revealed names of powerful people around the world, politicians, business leaders, celebrities who had some level of association with him, Epstein. Donald Trump knew Epstein socially in the 1990s and early 2000s. There are photographs and public comments showing that Epstein and Trump moved in similar elite circles in places like New York and Florida. However, Trump has said that he later cut ties with Epstein and has denied any wrongdoing. However, whenever new documents or testimonies are released, Trump's past association becomes headline news again. Even if there is no legal charge against Trump in connection to Epstein's crimes, politically it creates uncomfortable questions. On the world stage, US presidents are expected to represent moral authority and leadership. Any focus on links to a convicted sex offender damages perception of the US president. Number 4, tensions with Europe and South Africa. Trump's aggressive tariff threats and pressure on European NATO allies to spend more on their defense has created friction with key European powers like Germany and France. Also, in recent days, Trump is pushing the idea that the United States should have greater control of Greenland, which is a semi-autonomous part of Denmark and a long-time European and NATO ally. European leaders have strongly rejected this idea of acquiring Greenland, and Europeans have made it clear that they see the US push as interference in their internal affairs. Europe is America's closest strategic partner and an ally, and fighting with your closest friends makes it harder to handle bigger global challenges together. President Trump boycotted the November 2025 G20 summit in Johannesburg, South Africa, making the US the only member without senior government representation at the G20 summit. Trump also called the summit a total disgrace. He also announced that South Africa would not be invited to the 2026 G20 summit in Miami. While he cannot officially expel a member like South Africa, he has threatened to deny visas to South African officials for the G20 summit going to be held in Miami this year. South Africa is a part of the expanding BRICS grouping, which includes countries like India and China, which are often seen as balancing against US dominance. Any tensions of South Africa with the US pushes Pretoria closer to alternative global blocs like BRICS and the SCO. Number 5, the President of Peace claimed by Trump. During his presidential campaign in 2024, Trump claimed repeatedly that he would broker a ceasefire in Ukraine within 24 hours. But a year later, he has been unable to fulfill his promise yet. In May 2025, India launched Operation Sindoor successfully and eliminated terrorist infrastructure across Pakistan and Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. Operation Sindoor ended with a ceasefire between India and Pakistan after the DGMO of Pakistan contacted the DGMO of India and pleaded to halt the military operations. But Donald Trump has claimed over 100 times till now that tensions between India and Pakistan did not escalate only because that he threatened both nations with massive tariffs ranging from 200% to 350%. The Ministry of External Affairs India and top leaders like Prime Minister Narendra Modi and External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar have repeatedly stated that the US was neither involved nor informed about the ceasefire between India and Pakistan. Simply put, Trump's Nobel Peace Prize strategy backfired because his claims of stopping a nuclear war between India and Pakistan were publicly shut down by India. Number 6, Trump tariffs. In February 2026, the US Supreme Court said that most of Trump's major tariffs were illegal because he used the wrong law to impose them on other countries. And that the law used by Trump, which is the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, does not actually give the president the power to raise taxes on imports from other countries. The tariffs that Trump had put on goods from many countries, including India, China, Japan, and others, are no longer legally valid in the US. Till today, the US government had raised a massive amount of money, an estimated 150 to 175 billion US dollars or more, through Trump tariffs. Now, because the court had said that the tariffs are illegal, importers can now demand refunds of the tariff money they paid. This refund could put a huge financial burden on the US government if it has to pay all of that back. However, there is no clarity yet on the refund process from the US courts. On the other hand, Trump has said that the Supreme Court's decision is ridiculous and also called Supreme Court's judges fools. Trump has now imposed a new 15% global tariffs using another law. Again, the new tariffs of 15% are also surrounded by uncertainty. With respect to India, the current Trump tariffs are at 18% and the new 15% tariffs are comparatively advantage India only. Tariffs were one of Trump's signature economic tools, which were meant to protect US jobs and raise revenue. Being told by the highest court in the US that these tariffs are illegal is a strong legal rebuke to Trump. Politically too, because Trump used these tariffs as a central part of his economic strategy, losing in court hurts his credibility both domestically and globally, and also weakens confidence in his economic leadership around the world. For decades, the United States and the US president were seen as the unquestioned center of global power. But today, repeated domestic political fights in the US, legal setbacks, economic slowdowns, and strained alliances are slowly chipping away that dominance.